in most of the presentations, the presentation is modern portfolio theory, but they don't include the postmodern component. And I'll go through the whole thing. How are you? So this is the expected return on the portfolio. And this is the portfolio standard deviation. Now, the first thing is you draw the capital allocation line. And it, at the origin, is the risk-free rate. Now to start modernizing the theory, if you go to Europe, or you go to Japan, the capital allocation line is like that, because nominal interest rates are negative. So rates of return could be really low. And actually, in a zero interest rate environment in the United States, the capital allocation line originates from the origin. So the modern portfolio theory could actually be modernized by taking into consideration zero interest rate and negative interest rate environment. We're not going to focus on that, but I did want to mention that. The next step is to add the efficient frontier. And the dots along the umbrella, dots along the efficient frontier, dots in the efficient frontier umbrella are feasible portfolios that you can construct using assets in the capital markets to construct feasible portfolios. Now, risk-averse investors want to be up here. They want high return and low risk. But there's no portfolios, there's no assets in the capital markets that are going to provide high return and low risk. What they have to do is they have to lower their utility curves. The point at which the utility curve is tangent to the capital allocation line in the efficient frontier is the market basket. So if you took all of the value of all the assets in the capital markets, summed it up and divided it back and got the weights, that would be the target market portfolio. Since bonds are the largest asset class in the capital markets, it would get the highest weight, along with equities and real estate and other asset classes. And I'll go through a little bit later the target portfolio. So at this point, you're going to get the portfolio that's going to give you the highest expected return at the given level of risk. So this is actually the point where the risk-adjusted rate of return is the highest. Now you can build a portfolio of 100% stock. And that portfolio is going to give you high expected return, but also you will have to take on significantly more risk. You can also build a 100% bond portfolio. You're going to get significantly lower return, but you're also going to get significantly less risk. If you want to, let's say you're at the 100% bond portfolio, low risk, low return, and you want a higher rate of return and you're willing to take on more risk, you can sell off the bonds and start buying stock and move up the efficient frontier. You can also, if you're at a 100% stock portfolio and you want to reduce your risk and you're willing to take lower return, you could sell off your bonds and move down the efficient frontier. You can also jump off the efficient frontier onto the capital allocation line and move up the efficient frontier, move up the capital allocation line by using leverage, mortgage, financing on your real estate, margin on your stock portfolio. Through the use of leverage, you can increase your expected return significantly. Because you're using loans and margin, your portfolio standard deviation increases significantly. There's more volatility when you apply margin and when you apply mortgage financing. You can also jump off the efficient frontier and move down the capital allocation line through the process of lending. And that's what banks do. Banks want to significantly lower the risk within their portfolios, and they're willing to take lower expected returns in the process. And these loans are collateralized by the underlying asset, or the business, or the stocks within the account. So they're collateralized loans. If you add assets to the portfolio whose returns no, low, or negative correlations, in the rates of return of stocks and bonds, not only are you going to get diversification, but it's also going to bow out the efficient frontier. And when you add these assets with low, no, and negative correlation to stocks and bonds, it's going to reduce the expected return, but it's significantly going to reduce the portfolio standard deviation. Reduce the expected return, but you significantly reduce the portfolio standard deviation and increase the risk-adjusted rate of return, which is the objective of the portfolio manager that's putting together the portfolios for the risk-averse investors. And if the portfolio manager can lock in the expected return and target an 8 to 10% rate of return, the portfolio is going to double in less than 10 years. And that's what the risk-averse investors want. The institutional investors want an 8 to 10% rate of return, and by introducing assets to the portfolio with no low or negative correlations to the stock and bond returns, it's going to bow out the efficient frontier. It'll reduce the expected returns on the portfolio, but significantly reduce the portfolio risk and standard deviation, and increase the expected return, the risk-adjusted return in the process. So what kind of assets can be added to a stock bond portfolio to bow out the efficient frontier? Those would be alternative assets. So now with the introduction of alternative assets, we can gain diversification within the portfolio, bow out the efficient frontier by reallocating the portfolio into alternative assets. With rising interest rates, and after the financial crisis, bond returns and bond prices are more volatile. So we'll take from the bond allocation. Stocks are more volatile these days and overpriced. However, equity returns have always outperformed bond returns. So we'll maintain the traditional allocation into equities of 30%. Ibbotson and Associates, 30 years ago, conducted the analytics using modern portfolio theory and portfolio optimization based on Henry Markowitz's work in the late 50s, ran the analytics, the covariances and expected returns, ran it through the optimization, and came up with a 10% allocation to allocation to private equity commercial real estate, direct investments in real estate. Because the rates of return on the real estate had low, no, or negative correlations with stocks and bonds. And actually the rates of return for real estate were highly correlated to inflation, where the rates of return on stocks and bonds are negatively correlated to inflation and interest rates. Ibbotson and Associates also did exactly the same research, did the portfolio analytics, and came up with a 10% allocation to cash value life insurance. Not only in individual portfolios, but also institutional portfolios. And banks invest heavily in what is called BOLI, bank-owned life insurance. The cash values that accumulate in these life insurance policies on the senior executives within the bank are highly liquid and considered tier 1 liquid capital for the bank. Deutsche Bank, REIF, which is the real estate arm, now the energy arm for Deutsche Bank, ran the same analytics and came up with a 10% allocation. To alternative renewable energy. Wind, solar, geothermal, biogas, community choice aggregation, utilities, alternative renewable energy utilities. These alternatives have no lower negative correlation with stock bond returns. So if you put them in the stock bond portfolio, it's going to bow out the efficient frontier. Yes, it's going to reduce the expected return, but the reduction in the portfolio risk is significantly higher than the reduction in the return. Therefore, the risk-adjusted rates of returns go up, and the risk-averse investors are better off. So that's one way to do it, is through asset class exposures, through diversification to bow out the efficient frontier. There's also another way to do it, using synthetics. It's the application of portfolio insurance. Tool to hedge off potential downside risk in the portfolio. The tools are derivatives. So derivatives are the tool to apply portfolio insurance in the portfolio. So the applications of these derivatives, if we can find indexes that mimic exposures, either equity or fixed income, and the indexes are correlated to the asset prices and the returns of the fixed income and the stock exposures within the portfolio, we can use derivatives on those indexes to hedge off the risk. And we don't need that much correlation either, as you know. So if we think that there's downside risk exposure within the portfolio, particularly to our fixed income and our stock portfolio, we can apply the derivative contracts to hedge off the downside risk. And these derivative contracts are considered portfolio insurance as the tool. So if we think the prices are going to go down, what would be our derivative trades to hedge off the market, downside market exposure to our portfolio? What will we do? We'd write forward contracts. We'd write futures contracts. What else would we do? rewrite calls on the futures. And we would buy puts on the futures. We also have exchange traded funds, and we also have direct exposures to stock. So what would be the derivative applications on the exchange traded funds and the stocks that are in the portfolio? What derivative trades would we make to be able to use as tools to apply portfolio insurance to the portfolio? What would be the trades? We would write calls. What else?
Buy puts on ETFs.
Buy puts. And one more.
write calls on,
We'd write the calls on the stock, we'll write the calls on the ETFs. Buy the puts on the ETFs, buy the puts on the stocks, and then one more. One more trade. It's in your memos. Right? If you have a downside scenario, then you just go to your memos. What can I do on the,
Sell the ETF short.
yep, I can sell short. And when I buy the puts, I'm paying the premiums. So it's gonna reduce the expected returns. When I write the forwards and the futures contracts, I'm gonna be compensated. As the prices go down, cash flows are gonna come in and shore up the expected return and actually lock in the expected return. And if I can figure out the value of the portfolio that is at risk of downside exposures to the marketplace, I can figure out the number of contracts that I need to buy and that I need to write to hedge off the market exposures, the downside risk, and lock in my expected return. And if I apply these, the risk of the portfolio is significantly reduced. And through the application of the derivative contracts, it bows out the efficient frontier. It reduces the risk within the portfolio. Okay, that's it. That's what I was trying to get at. That's what I was trying to see within the graphics.